Hey guys, it's Ellen. So, with all of the talk of the coronavirus now and the pandemonium and fear, I just wanted to share something from my journal. It's dated January 22nd. And the reason I wrote this page out was because on that date, the word corona itself popped up 3 times in my field of awareness. And the first was obviously talking about the coronavirus outbreak in China. And I wrote, only one confirmed in the US. But on that very same day, there was a news story about a fatal plane crash, a small plane in Corona, California, where 4 people were killed. And then my kids were watching a series called Tangled on Netflix, I believe, and it's set in the kingdom of Corona. And it's a retelling of Rapunzel. So the word Corona, I started looking into this, just kind of going wherever my higher self led. You'll have to excuse the dog barking. But Corona means crown, and Corona Borealis is a constellation, and there's some different stories about it. I looked it up on a wonderful website called Constellation of Words, and that website gives the mythology, the history, the etymology of the different fixed stars and constellations, and it's just endlessly fascinating, at least to me. So Corona Borealis is the golden crown of Ariadne, and she is, for those of you who don't know, she was the daughter of King Minos on Crete and in ancient Greece, and her legend is famous for the labyrinth. The Minotaur was this monster in the labyrinth, and every year he required the sacrifice of 7, I believe it was 7 humans. And in order to stop the killing, this hero, Theseus, was brought in. And there's this whole story about Ariadne giving him a thread to take with him, and then he could follow the thread back out of the labyrinth after he killed the Minotaur. Well, he did that, and they were sailing off to be married because that was the promise that if he could kill the Minotaur, he could have her hand in marriage. Well, they were sailing off, and when she was asleep, he actually abandoned her on this island of Naxos, and she was, while she was sleeping, so she woke up and was completely alone, abandoned, and Dionysus saw her there, and, she was heartbroken and crying, and he fell in love with her, and he married her. So the golden crown was what she received on her wedding day, and there were some different stories about that. Some say that Venus gave it to her as a gift. Some say that it was made by Hephaestus, who's also called Vulcan in Roman, and that he made it. He worked with metal. He was a what is that called? I don't know, metalsmith. Anyway, and that was her wedding gift from either her husband or from Venus. There was differing stories. I also made note that in Roman she was called Libera, Lady Liberty, which of course made me think of New York City, and that he was called Bacchus Liber. So really this theme of like liberation, liberty, freedom is what stood out to me there. So just some other notes. The Celts called this particular constellation Saer Arianrhod, the House of Arianrhod. She was the daughter of Don, the fairy king. The Shawnee Indians knew the stars of this constellation as the celestial sisters, the brightest being Alphecca, which is one of the 15 Bohemian magical stars in ancient times. And she was the wife of the hunter Whitehawk, which is Arcturus. That was interesting. I've never heard that before. This is some more notes that really doesn't have to do with Corona. In other cultures, this was interesting. The This constellation is depicted as the crown of thorns worn by Jesus, as well as the crown placed on Esther's head by Ahasuerus. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So, my initial thoughts on all of this were that this had to do with the fact that right now there's a lot of light coming in, literally light coming in that hasn't been able to come in before because our magnetosphere has cracks in it, and the sun is emitting just a really high frequency light. And since a lot of people now are at a level of consciousness to be able to receive that, because light is information, it is really opening up the crown. So all of our crowns are opening, and there's a lot of awareness at this time on Earth of things that we haven't been aware of in the past. And so to me, this, even just naming it this, has something to do with creating fear around the crown, and us as humans stepping into our sovereignty and wearing our crowns. Take it for what you will. Peace.